Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 6 of the Clappercast. Sorry we had to take a week break, so the West Coast kind of got hit by an actual Canadian winter, and we had some traveling issues where the roads are snow-covered and icy, and it's hard to drive in and find anywhere to park, and not safe.
Yeah, we're not used to that
Yeah.
actual winter. What is this snow thing?
Yeah, we're not used to it, and neither is the city, because no snowplows know what they're doing, and it takes a long time to get anything back up and running properly, so we're back, and we're here to talk about a lot of what's happened in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So I think, do you want to start off maybe with our weekly Ottawa Senators segment? Because that's kind of hitting the big news right now.
Everybody's favorite team.
Oh, yeah. They are a team.
Yeah, so, I mean, the ongoing discussion with Duchesne and Stone, if anyone's not getting tired of it yet, you will be soon.
For sure. At least the trade deadline's in like a week, so should be okay.
Yeah. But then it'll be like, are they fitting in with the new team? Are the Ottawa Senators heading in the right direction now that they don't have X? Yeah, anyway. So, yeah, I guess let's start with Duchesne.
Yeah, he's the big he's the name that's getting talked mostly about trading. I think just this morning, as of this recording, it started coming out that the plan for Duchesne is that he will be traded.
Yeah, so today's February 17th, and it came out, today, that it's likely he's going to be traded, and I'm not sure where with him.
I saw Columbus and Nashville were interested.
Man, could you imagine Nashville? They've got two chains, and and if they get Duchesne,
that just Nashville's such a solid team. Like they've already got one of the best defensive corps in the league. So now they're just completely solidifying their offense.
And then picked up Boyle.
Yeah, so they're just building an incredibly solid team.
I wonder what the return would have to be to get Duchesne from Nashville.
The reports that the initial ask was like a first-round pick, a prospect, or a top prospect, and like another valuable asset. I'm assuming a roster player.
I wonder if they'd give up Tolvanen. I would think no, but
that would. I feel like that would be a guy that Ottawa would go after.
That's probably who they would want.
Yeah,
but
he'd fit the right kind of prospect. I don't know who else the Predators have that kind of fits that high-end offensive prospect.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Unless they just want one of the younger guys on the team.
Maybe.
But, yeah, so anyway, Duchesne probably going to be moving. But he got offered, an 8x8?
8x8, yep. Which I think is fair for him.
Yeah, so it's going to be tough for a team like him to get that anywhere else, I think.
Yeah.
But if he wants to stay in Ottawa, who knows? He's gone through that before with Colorado, so
yeah,
it'd probably be best to move on.
At this point, I think so. There's too much. That whole organization just needs a complete fresh start. So
yeah, and let's move on to Mark Stone, I guess. So it came out again today that they want to try and negotiate more with him to keep him.
So last night into today, it's been talked about that they want to keep him and that they are re-engaging with him for contract talks. So looks like he might stay in Ottawa, but again, like who knows?
I wouldn't put money on anything.
Yeah, not at this point. Not at this point.
Yeah. So Dorian, interesting. Like at that Jets game, a couple nights ago.
Yeah, that
in Winnipeg. Pierre Dorian was in attendance, and a few other Ottawa scouts, I think.
And
then Winnipeg
had scouts in Ottawa, right? At the same time, yeah.
And I think at a Jets practice, Dorian was there, and he was seen like walking off, talking to Cheveldayoff.
Yeah, so it's pretty it's mostly talked about that Stone would be the return or going to Ottawa, or to Ottawa, to Winnipeg, which again, like imagine that forward lineup, like.
I wonder if Vegas will get involved here.
Actually, you say that, but they are the other interested team.
Yeah.
And
Stastny 2.0.
Exactly what I thought is as soon as I saw Winnipeg and Vegas competing for the same player, it's like, oh, Vegas is going to swoop in and take him again.
Yeah, talking about Vegas, I saw Gustav Nyquist on Detroit. He got asked to give them a list of teams.
Yep.
And I wonder if Vegas will give up a first, second, and third for him this year, and then eventually Montreal will get him.
Yeah, fit tradition.
Yeah, I still can't believe how much they gave up for Thomas Tatar. But like that's unbelievable how much they gave up for him, and then didn't even play.
Yeah,
And now he's lighting it up in Montreal. It's
I don't
funny.
know what happened. Like, did he just not get a chance in the lineup? Did he play a few games, didn't fit in? Like, why? Like,
I don't know. I remember in playoffs, like they played him and he got a couple goals.
Yeah.
But they just never consistently plugged him in the lineup. So I guess maybe he just didn't fit their system, or they didn't like him, or they didn't want to fix what wasn't broke, maybe. But why trade for him?
I don't know. Maybe it's miscommunication in the organization. Who knows?
Between that and the whole like Shipachyov thing,
yeah,
seems
some personnel issues.
Strange, yeah.
Asset management.
Yeah. So.
And the third player in Ottawa, Ryan Zingle. So he's being lumped in the trade talks as well. Not as serious because he's not as high-profile player, but he's still being talked about as a scoring depth forward option for.
I think that because he's not such a top player, like he's more likely more teams to be interested.
Yeah,
I saw that Boston was interested in Zingle, but yeah, I think a lot of other teams would be interested in that.
I feel like he's a cheaper option. And he's not going to completely overhaul a lineup, and that's kind of an issue with trade deadline trades. Is you don't want to screw up the chemistry. So to get a guy who might jump in and out of the lineup in a position with someone else who's doing the same, it won't cause as much catastrophe, maybe.
Yeah. So we'll see. The deadline. It's going to be an interesting one.
I think so. I'm looking forward to watching the coverage this year, unless everything happens this week again.
Yeah,
like it usually does now.
Last year, was there a lot of movement?
Not really.
I guess
there wasn't.
Tatar. Was that even at the deadline? I don't even remember.
That's the thing. Like the trades, the last 4 or 5 years, the trades have started happening like throughout the month leading up to it.
Yeah.
So the day of the trade deadline comes, and there's kind of like a handful of depth players moving. It's just the action's consistently going down, and it's awkward, funny, and kind of sad to watch the 7 or 8 hour news coverage shows for the trade deadline day. And they're just like sitting there trying to come up with something to do.
Yeah, and they always have like the weird little things that they do. Yeah, just like pastime.
Little segments, and they're all just screwing around with each other. Like
just a fun work day, I guess. But yeah, who would watch that like all day?
I do.
All day?
Yeah.
You watch like the 7-8 hour show?
Well, as soon as I get up in the morning, I don't get up early to watch it, but I throw it on in the background and it's on until it's over.
Well, yeah, that's different than like focusing on that all day. Like if you have it on in the background and you're like doing other things.
More or less.
Yeah. It just seems bizarre to me because like.
I do the same on the draft and the trade or the free agent day as well.
Yeah. I don't watch them that much. I just like get the alerts on my phone when there's a big trade. And then I just see Reddit when there's a big trade too. But yeah, shout out to the Capitals for getting Michael Kempny last year at the deadline. That was the best.
To be completely honest, that might be the best trade deadline acquisition of like the last decade. I
think it was. What did they even give up for him? Like a
third.
Third? Yeah.
I think so. I think it was like a third or a
for
second.
A guy who wasn't even playing in the lineup.
Yeah.
Like, and then he just slots right in playing with Carlson.
Yeah, and now he's like.
And now he signed a pretty cheap deal.
Defenseman.
Yeah. I love that guy. He takes some penalties, but I think it's mostly because he's covering for other D-men.
Yeah. And also, he is a defenseman. They typically take more obstruction penalties.
Yeah. Yeah, I love him, though. He was an amazing pickup. And normally the Capitals get, like, some shitty player. Like
Kevin Shattenkirk?
Yeah, Shattenkirk.
Actually, he's not a bad player. That just didn't work.
Gleason or somebody else that just doesn't work and it just screws up the lineup.
Yeah. And that happens so often, like, the teams that make all these big trade deadline acquisitions. Like, sure, they might be, flashy, good players, but are they really, like, is it really good to invest in a short-term rental like that?
Yeah, that was like Shattenkirk. Like, they put him on the power play unit and just fucked everything up.
Yeah.
Because he's used to being the guy that shoots, and now he was the guy that fed Ovechkin instead of Carlson. And it just, why didn't you put him on unit 2?
Yeah, and now you have 2 deadly units.
And he's slow as fuck, so we already had Orpik and Alsner, and then we had Shattenkirk, so it's like brutal. 50% of the D were slow as shit. And it's not like Carlson or Niskanen or Orlov were super fast either. So.
Yeah. Not to mention this was a couple of years ago before they kind of hit their stride and got to where they are now.
So
like
versus the Penguins, it's like, okay, well.
Yeah, the Penguins didn't have D either, but like they've got such a good lineup and their players just fit the roles. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, let's move on from the team. I guess let's talk about so Randy Carlyle. Despite Bob Murray saying he wasn't going to fire him, he got shit canned.
So I'm sad for Randy.
Good one, Randy.
I don't know. I personally despise the Ducks, and I don't like Randy, so I'm kind of like, why not keep him?
Yeah.
But it's weird to see a coach go through that long of a losing streak, that far of a downfall in the span of a season with the roster that they still have, and to not get fired in like December.
Yeah, and you can see like the frustration of the players, and
well, like Getzlaf said, this was like the hardest streak of his career or something.
And that thing where like he wouldn't pull Gibson until like you could see like Getzlaf on the bench, and everybody like saying like pull him, like you could see the players like arguing with the coach.
So that's very obvious. There's just a complete disconnect that Randy does not have the room, that the players are pretty much just doing their own thing, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, so Bob Murray's filling in on the bench,
which is weird because he's never been a coach, I think.
Yeah, this just seems like something that would happen like back in the day, not now.
Yeah,
like
where the GM fires the coach and takes over himself, dual role for the season.
Yeah, you'd think that they'd have like an assistant step up or something, but
actually Edmonton did that too when Craig McTavish fired Aikens. They had Todd Nelson come in as the interim head coach, but for a handful of games after McTavish coached. But he was also a former coach already, so.
Yeah, and Dallas, is it Eakins or Aikens?
I always heard Aikens.
Okay, well, he's the coach of their AHL team.
Yes.
And it's believed he's going to be bumped up. So
yeah, so
you still might have your revenge because he's a good AHL coach, I think, but I don't know.
Well, to be honest, the Oilers that he coached were not a strong team, and they were also very weak defensively.
But didn't he take over like a well-coached team?
Aikens?
Yeah, didn't he?
No.
Okay.
Well, okay, Ralph Kruger was a good coach for what he did with that team when they were still not great, and then Aikens came in and kind of like tried to implement a system on the players that didn't work for them. But Kruger seemed like he allowed the players to do their own thing a little bit more to kind of fit their style, like what the team was built to do. But Aikens came in and took this team that was built to be like a quick attack. I don't want to say a fast, speedy team because they weren't like elite speed, but he basically turned them into grindy defensive types. And
okay, well, that's what the Ducks are, basically. So maybe he'll do well.
Especially he might do better with a lot of experienced players.
Yeah.
Who actually kind of know how to adjust their game rather than having to teach everybody how to do it.
It's true. So we'll see what happens there. It's not confirmed. It's just kind of believed that he's going to be taking over.
He's the leading candidate to take over after the season. So I guess it also makes sense if they're firing Randy in, early February.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. You got like 2 months left. Let's just do it this way and get a new coach in for the fresh season next year.
It's just so obvious it wasn't working.
Yeah.
With Carlyle, like the amount of shots they were giving up and the amount of goals, it's just so obvious that system wasn't working so early on. Yeah. And just to not adapt.
I think John Gibson may have saved Randy's job for a while.
Yeah,
because he is low key like the best goalie in the league.
Yeah, he's having like a Vezina season on like the shittiest team.
Yeah.
And he's never gonna get nominated because his stats have been fucked up.
Yeah. Because like he was top of the league in most goalie stats at the beginning of the year.
And he's just such an athletic goalie. Yeah, it's a shame. But I also wanted to talk about Kevin Boyle. He's a Ducks rookie goaltender, and he got a shutout in his first game. It was against the Canucks, so take that with a grain of salt.
I mean, he stopped Pedersen, or actually was reading. Is it Peterson or Pedersen?
He says you can say it however you want because I think Pedersen. I was reading about this too, that's how he thought North Americans would butcher his name because apparently it's Pedersen.
Yeah.
Pedersen, I think.
Pedersen, yeah.
And then Pedersen is how he thought North Americans would fuck it up. So he's like, I'll just go with that. So he's like, you can call me Peterson or Pedersen or whatever. It's fine.
Okay. I read it as Pedersen because of the double T.
Yeah, that's how like it looks.
Yeah. So anyways. He
call him God. Just call him God.
Fair enough. Yeah. So I mean, Boyle stonewalled Pedersen and Besser. So I'll give him that's pretty impressive. Not many goalies are even doing that right now.
Yeah, and he's interesting. The first Duck goalie to do so, to have a shutout in his first NHL game since John Gibson, also against the Canucks.
I'm noticing a trend here. So if the Ducks want to do really well in the division, they need to start a rookie goalie every single game they play the Canucks, I think.
Yeah, so that's a guaranteed, what, 3 wins? Or
Travis Green, you better be taking notes here.
Yeah.
You better be watching out here because you're going to have some rookie goalies to face right away.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, the Canucks are 2 points out of a playoff spot right now.
They're pretty close.
Maybe let's jump into that because I know you want to talk about that.
The West?
Yeah, the Pacific
the wild
West just being garbage.
Very. It's starting to spread itself out a little bit now because I think there's about a 7 or 8 point gap once you hit the bottom of the West, but it's just absurd how bad some of the teams have been over the last 25 games and still reasonably in a playoff race.
Yeah, and it's because the Eastern Conference teams are just smoking the West this year.
Yeah.
I think I don't have any stats, but I was watching a game the other night and they were talking about how all these Eastern teams on their Western road trips are having winning records. So that's where I think that disparity between the top teams in the West and the bottom is because...
And I think it's kind of representing the shift in the NHL because, the West kind of had the East number for a few years back when it was still kind of size and grit.
Back when you had, the Southeast Division that was garbage.
Yeah. And, I mean, for years, the West was the heavier conference. They were the bigger conference that was going to play physical. So they took over when that was what the NHL was. But now it's speed.
Well, yeah, I mean, even at the beginning of the year, everyone's like, oh, my God, the Central Dome is going to be insane. You have Nashville, Winnipeg,
St. Louis, Minnesota, Colorado.
Yeah, and Chicago, whatever, is always kind of a threat. But people thought that was going to be insane. And now, the top teams, top 2 basically, are up there. Yeah. But everybody else isn't. Colorado had a dynamite start, but they've lost. They've only won 5 of their last 28 or something. So
something like that. And I mean that's a trend in a whole bunch of teams around there, like Anaheim, Edmonton, Colorado. They're all just garbage.
They're just struggling. They just can't get it together. And you have the Metro seems to always be pretty decent, and the Atlantic this year is really tough.
Top heavy.
Yeah, very tough. I mean, you have Tampa, Toronto, Boston, probably gonna have those 3 top spots.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much locked. I mean, Montreal, I think, is close-ish, but
yeah, I think they might get in a wild card.
Yeah, I don't think they're catching any of those teams. I mean, Toronto's on a bit of a rough patch right now, but
yeah, and
they're
then
too
in
good to not.
The Metro, it's the New York Islanders is in first, and the Capitals are second, and then Columbus is third, and then Pittsburgh is right on their tail.
Yeah,
and then I think
Pittsburgh, however, is also only 1 point in a playoff spot, I think.
Are they in a wild card right now?
Yeah.
Wild card.
Last I saw
1
the
or 2?
standings, they're in, I think, wild card 2, but they were only ahead of Carolina by a point.
It'd be pretty insane if Pittsburgh finishes wild card 2 and they played Tampa. Because who would you take in that series?
I don't even know.
Because you can never bet against Crosby and Malkin.
You can't bet against Pittsburgh because they are just too good, too experienced, and too clutch.
But the Lightning are just so on fire.
And
does that translate to playoff?
Yeah.
Because they've historically not been able to get it done.
Well, they've been able to get it done through the first part of it, but they've never gotten past the conference.
Well, that's what I mean.
So
they always meet some other team that just beats them.
Yeah.
And they've been, I don't think they've been this good in the past, but they've been very good for a long time.
Well, this year they've pretty much got the President's Trophy on lock.
Yeah.
They're on pace to have a record-setting season still.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at their goals per game in a while, but I mean, at one point, 30, 40 games-ish, they were still 4 goals a game.
And they're getting shutouts too. Vasilevsky had back-to-back shutouts. Yep. So it's holy shit, how do you beat that team?
They have elite players in every single position.
Yeah.
And it's amazing what that team has turned into.
It's pretty dominant.
With only having a year or 2 of real bad.
Yeah. And
this was 10 years ago now.
I know that it's not the same team, but for me as a fan of the Capitals and having seen the team won so many President's Trophies and being dominant, but obviously not this dominant in the regular season, I know that it can only take a hot goalie or just a better system to beat you in playoffs.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens in playoffs for them. I'm excited to see what they can do. I don't want them to win. I don't want them to win because I don't like them, but it'll be interesting to see if that playoff success is there or not.
Yeah, and also to see how their game translates to the playoffs. Because, I mean, they've pretty much got the same, high-paced offensive thing that they've had for years, but the playoffs typically ends up being more of a defensive grind.
Well, yeah, and like you
So-
have a team, you're playing a team for a series instead of just once in a week or something,
Yeah.
right? So you coach around that, you analyze their game more, you pick out their weaknesses, and you go for that. So, I mean, how many times have you seen it where a on-fire team loses to a shittier team? I mean, that's how Los Angeles won the Cup as an 8th seed, right?
They quick went on fire. And
Yeah,
they
a
ground
hot
it out.
goalie, you play the right way.
And they ended up pretty much setting one of the least amount of games to get to the final ever or something.
Yeah, like they just smoked everybody.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's going to happen to Tampa. I don't want that to happen, but I also don't want them to win. I just want to see good hockey.
Yeah.
And like,
Oh, for sure.
I don't want to see sweeps. I
Let's
don't
see
like
too,
sweeps
I
unless
mean,
it's my team
Very
sweeping
true,
somebody.
very true. We'll have to see Kucherov too this year.
Yeah.
Because he took a bit of a weird nosedive in the playoffs last year by the end of it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he was setting up Stamkos on their power play. Because I remember in that Capitals series, they just, like, Stamkos got a bunch of power play goals, but I don't think he had gotten any, like, before that in playoffs. I can't remember. Because he got at least 2 against the Capitals. But yeah. I don't even know how the Capitals won that series, because it went to Game 7, I guess, but...
I mean,
I know all the commentators and stuff are just like, oh, they just wanted it. They just wanted it more. This is the first time they got to the conference finals, so they just knew. It's just like, well, it went to Game 7. Like,
and
it's close.
Admittedly, they were getting dominated the first couple of games.
Yeah.
Like when they were down in the series.
Well,
Didn't
it go Capitals 1-3, and then Tampa 1-3? Didn't it go that way?
I can't remember. I know the Capitals won the last 2. Because they won 6 and 7 to get
they
on.
won 6 and
So
7.
I'm wondering if it was like Capitals won the first one, then Tampa won 3 straight, and then
So I thought the Caps went up.
Or
They won. I think they won Game 1 and 2 in Tampa. Or was it? Yeah, because I can't remember now. Memory loss. I think
Either way,
I think the
anyway.
Caps won Game 1 and 2, and then Tampa won the next 2. I don't know. Whatever.
regardless
Close.
of the exact breakdown of the games, Vasilevsky and Kucherov kind of took a bit of a nosedive by the end of the series, and they did not have very good games at the end. And
Yeah.
the Capitals capitalized on that.
Yeah, and also the Caps got by their defense, because in Game 7, I think the Caps' physicality played a role too, because
For sure.
they bumped them. Game 7, I love this highlight. Opening face-off, the players' names are still at the top. The Tampa wins the face-off and it goes back in their zone, and then they bring it out on the right side, and it's Kunitz, who I don't like. Also, congratulations for Kunitz playing 1,000 games.
Fuck you, Kunitz.
Fuck you. He's skating it up, and then Wilson hits him, and he just spins around, and then the Caps get the puck, and then Ovechkin scores from the blue line.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you ripped it.
And I mean, you can't fault Vasilevsky for that too much, but that's from the blue line. There's nobody in front of him, no traffic.
I
He
mean,
just
an
ripped
Ovechkin
it.
slap shot.
Yeah.
It's not getting.
But then
can't
the
even do
next 2 goals, Burakovsky just blew by the D on a breakaway basically, and just tucked it short side on one of them, and then far side on the other, which was kind of a weak shot. But whatever. I don't want to shit too much on Tampa because they're a dominant team.
I'm excited to see if they can actually break some of these all-time records for most points in a season, most wins in a season, whatever.
Yeah. I also want to see if there's a race between Kucherov and Tampa between who can get to 100 first.
That is actually a funny race, and I am very invested now in seeing and following this.
Because what are they at? Tampa's at 92 points or something.
Kucherov's in the mid 80s, I think. Unless he got a bunch more points yesterday that I forgot to notice.
I don't know. He gets 3 points a game.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
He's close. He's between 85 and 90 last I saw.
Yeah, he's having an on-fire season. Everybody's having a good season there. So, yeah, anyway. Back to the West. I want to talk about St. Louis, because they were a team that was in the bottom.
And now they're at the top.
Not there at the top.
They're in a division playoff spot right now.
Started at the bottom, now we hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they won 9 straight.
Which, I mean, for any team, who cares, good team, bad team, that's a pretty good streak. But for St. Louis to start the way they did, fire their coach, get in a new guy, struggle for a little bit longer, but then go on this amazing run to get back into the playoffs is first off a testament to how bad the West was.
Yeah.
But secondly, holy shit, the Blues are doing really, really well again.
Yeah.
And this is the team that we all thought and knew they had.
Yeah, and like you said, like all it takes is a couple of wins together and you get back in a playoff spot.
Yeah.
So is this a sustainable path that they're on? I don't know, but all it takes is another team to have another hot streak and they could pass them.
Yeah, I mean, Colorado goes back to a normal pace for for them. I mean, they're not a deep team. They're kind of a one-line team, but 5 and 28 games isn't going to get you very far. And if they kind of hit up a normal pace again, they might push St. Louis again.
Yeah, I think St. Louis is in a divisional spot and they have games in hand.
Yes,
which is impressive.
Which is also crucial.
I think they have 57 points or something. It's a bit of a drop off from Tampa with like 90. But
yeah. It's like the 80s Oilers.
I don't know. I've always had a soft spot for the Blues because they're kind of the Capitals' like best trading partner. But
I'm completely indifferent, and I want to see them succeed just because you see every single year they've got such a good team. They're going to do well, and then they lose out in the first round or something. So I really do want to see them make the final again.
Yeah, I always like teams that haven't won to get in there.
Yeah, it's more fun to watch a team that's never won it with a bunch of guys that have never won it than it is to watch Pittsburgh win again.
Yeah, I mean, last year's final, it was either way. It was going to be a new team.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool.
And
I think
the other thing too about like watching the new teams in there, I think is it since like 2004 there hasn't every single loser of the Cup final is a different team.
Yeah.
But when you go back 10 years, like you've got Pittsburgh with 3 cups, Chicago with 3 cups, Boston and LA with 2.
Yeah, but you still have that new team getting in there, which is really cool.
So it's kind of like shows, okay, it's only a select few teams that actually apparently have what it takes to fully win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, and I was reading, it was yesterday, or 2 days ago or something, it was like 14 years ago the season got canceled.
Bad times.
For 04-05 or whatever, or 05.
405.
And I was reading about that lockout and like the reasons that it was locked out, and it was like because there was such a disparity between the high end like salary teams and the low end salary teams.
Oh, it was terrible.
So like the highest I think was like 77 million, and then like Nashville was like 20.
Yeah, it was terrible.
So,
and
like,
I mean, you saw this like those Rangers teams from the early 2000s and late 90s were just completely stacked of every single star player.
Yeah, and Detroit,
Colorado, Dallas a little bit like.
Yeah, you just have the same teams get into playoffs and winning and meeting in the finals again.
Yeah.
And
which, like, it's cool to see, and it kind of builds that thing the NBA is going after, but I don't like seeing the same teams every year because the fans of the other 28 teams are going to be like,
yeah,
well,
like
what's
I
the
can't
point?
wait for next March.
I
or
can't wait
April
till our
when-
good
when
players
Colorado
go,
and Detroit are in the finals again.
Yeah. It's you watch your
Or the
local team, your
semifinals.
favorite team, and you're not cheering for them to win. You're like, oh, I can't wait till our good players go to a team that's going to win.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like that NBA how
So-
when's Golden State gonna win? Are they gonna win in 4 or 5? But yeah, like it was kind of interesting because everyone obviously hates not having a season, but the reasons for that lockout now, it needed to happen because those
Absolutely.
teams would have failed. Those bottom teams,
It would
they
have
would've-
been so bad.
especially those new markets. Like nobody would have paid attention if the team was so shitty, you know.
Exactly. I mean, look at
And then look at
Vegas.
Nashville now.
And for sure, Nashville now. I mean, it's taken a while, but for years they were kind of like a borderline team where they were just making the playoffs or like just out of the playoffs. But over the years they built it up, and now they are one of the most exciting fan bases in the league.
Yeah, it's really a success story.
Totally.
And it's cool because it's not a traditional hockey market, but you see every fan buying in, how pumped up they are.
And it's a show. It's an experience down there. Like they do it right.
Yeah.
And we might see, like in Canada, we might see it a little bit like over the top, but it's like who cares? They're interested in hockey.
Yeah, there's a
They're
whole like
there to
Vegas
watch
thing
hockey,
too.
like-
Like I don't personally, I wouldn't like it if it was at a game I went to, but like it's fun still. Like
Yeah.
it's.
It's fun. It's an experience. It's memorable.
I guess I should clarify. Like it was just it got kind of old for me, watching their intro stuff with like the guy in armor and stuff.
The Golden Knights.
Yeah, and like those like drummers with like the the light masks on and
Yeah.
stuff. Like, it looks weird on TV, but if you're there, it'd be like totally cool.
Oh, sure. It was corny as hell to watch, but
Yeah,
like,
and like slaying the person in the front, and I was like, what's gonna be the capitals? Like big capitals letters, or like Donald Trump or something, or what? But yeah, so that stuff, it's cool, and it gets people in, and it's Vegas, so
and
it's
the
like
other
part
thing
of the
too
show.
with Nashville is that they're getting like celebrities into it.
Yeah, all the like anthems and stuff.
Yeah, the
and-
anthems, like the country singers, like that's huge for exposure, especially because I imagine like country's popular in the southern states.
Oh, and Nashville's like Hollywood of country music.
Yeah.
So
So you get these guys into it, and suddenly you're developing a stronger fan base amongst that entire demographic.
yeah, it's really cool how they've managed to kind of blend Nashville's traditional entertainment with hockey.
Yeah.
And that's really, I think, what is important for those new markets. They need to do that really well.
Kind of link the team in with the community, with the culture, and show like, yeah, hockey's on ice, hockey's not traditional here, but like it fits.
Yeah. And it's just interesting to look back on that lockout and think like, wow, that was actually pretty important and needed. And I'm just worried for the next potential lockout because it seems like it's not as necessary. It's just to do with dollars and cents and
It's
player rights and with Olympics and stuff. But who knows in 14 years from now or from then, if you'll look back and think like, wow, we really needed that. So I don't know. I don't want to speculate too much on what's going to happen, but it was just interesting to look back on that lockout with perspective and think.
Yeah, and I mean it turned out for the better. I mean, the salary cap is fine.
Yeah,
It's doing exactly what it's
it's
supposed
doing
to.
its
Like,
job.
since that lockout, every single cup final loser is a different team.
Yeah,
it's
it's good to have
keeping-
it's definitely propping up parity in the league, and that's a good thing. Let's move on. Just a little cheap throwaway thing I have here is that the Caps season ticket holders are getting cup rings.
It's expensive. Are they getting the same ones?
They're
as the
not
team?
getting like the real
They're
ones. That
kinda
would be
just-
insane.
yeah.
But they're getting like a
replica.
replica.
Type
Yeah, that's
thing?
the word I was looking
Probably
for.
less jewels.
Yeah, no jewels probably, just like imitation.
Yeah,
Still cool though. Like
sure. Like
you could put it on your mantle or
nice
whatever.
memorabilia,
Yeah.
nice little token of appreciation or remembering. Like,
Yeah, I think he bought like all the staff, like real ones. I don't think they had as much diamonds and shit on them as the players ones, but like Leonsis went like all out with all the
Oh, I
players
mean,
and stuff,
he
or the staff.
he's one of the most passionate owners in the league, I think.
Yeah,
Like, he's pretty publicly like cheering for the team.
he's very
constantly. Like,
involved.
he's
He's very involved, and it's not like the shadowy involvement like the Aquilani's in Vancouver. It's more like public.
You
which
see
is
him in the
cool.
media. You see him like talking about, I want this team to win. Like, I support my players.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's why like when he was involved in like some of the like post victory things, like it didn't feel fake because like you knew he was involved and interested and
you knew he was as happy as the
he was
players.
invested in the play of the team.
Yeah.
So when he was saying like, man, we've wanted this for so long, you didn't feel like, oh, this is just some like corporate guy.
Yeah, it's not like most other teams where their owner would come down and lift the cup, and you'd be like, who the hell's this guy?
Or like the NFL, how like the owners get the trophy before the players.
Yeah,
It's so
it's just some like rich
BS.
old guy who has no
yeah,
idea
like,
what's going on.
I can't even lift this. I'm happy. Yeah. So I don't know. Just wanted to mention that because I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And let's move on to another older gentleman who has particular opinions.
Oh
and
yes.
a strange fashion sense. I think you might know who I'm talking about. He's
The
not
one
even.
and only.
Yeah, raisins.
Getting there.
Yeah. Yeah. So grapes. Don Cherry. He went on a little rant about Carolina's victory.
Their storm surge.
Their storm surge. Couldn't remember what it was called.
Yeah.
So whenever they win, they do like a big team selly, and they're pretty funny. Like the
They're
last
awesome.
one I saw was like they line up like a baseball team, and then
The bat flip.
yeah,
that was
and did
when
a
they
big
beat Edmonton.
bat flip, and then ran the bases, and all the team came out to celebrate.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny, and
They're
they've
awesome.
just been doing that all season. It's just a good way to build a relationship with the fans. And to get,
I mean, they get the fans involved with the clapping.
yeah,
And it's something fun to watch, to look forward to, something to get the players engaged and involved.
yeah, and like it's not like the team's like having a on fire season, so it's still like fun.
They are, however, the best team in the league since like Christmas or the All-Star
Really?
break. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Metro is pretty tough. The East is not the West, so
Yeah.
it'd be
So-
cool to see. I would love for them to get into playoffs.
It'd be.
I don't
would
think it's
want
gonna
to see
happen,
these celebrations in the playoffs. Actually,
though. That'd be sweet. I don't. If I was a betting man, I'd bet that they wouldn't make it.
I don't
But
think this year. They've got
It
a
would
good
be.
base.
I would love to see it.
Yeah.
Because it's just a team that, frankly, most people forget about, and the only highlight you see is that celebration.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Anyway, Grapes was like talking about how it was disrespectful of the other team, and
Yeah, they're making a mockery, making a show of them. Called the entire team a bunch of jerks.
yeah. So Carolina Hurricanes changed their Twitter oh my God. Twitter bio, their Twitter bio, to the bunch of jerks that's Selly or something like that.
Yeah, the bunch of jerks with the fun celebrations.
Yeah. So, yeah, what a bunch of jerks having
Yeah.
fun after they play
How
hockey.
dare they? And as you said in the text to me, which I later posted on Twitter because I was laughing out loud, like for real. Stop having fun, says the man with curtains as a suit.
Yeah. Yeah, like stop having like personalities
personality
and
was the
being an
other one.
individual. The man who wears like bedding.
Yeah,
As-
bedding, drapery, curtains.
Yeah, you put on the tablecloth.
Yeah.
Like
So I don't know. Looking on Reddit too, like a lot of people apparently don't really like the celebrations. They think they're a bit over the top and a bit like dumb, which is like that old school act like you've been there before.
yeah.
Which I mean, they clearly know what they're doing with these celebrations. They have done
Well,
them
I
before.
mean it's after a win.
Yeah.
Like
I would take these Carolina Storm surges 100% of the time over the half-ass salutes the teams do at center ice.
yeah.
Where like the players all skate to center
Ugh.
and like they've got the limp wrist stick half in the air and they just
Yeah.
kind of like look around and skate off. Like, what's
Yeah.
the point of that? You're not saluting anybody. You're just there looking around. Like at least this is
Yeah.
fun and a bunch of players like having fun, building some chemistry, having
Well, and they have to
enjoying
like plan it
themselves.
out too,
Yeah.
like so like they're having fun like, "Oh, what are we going to do next time?"
Yeah.
Like
and like and it's the individual player's responsibility too. Like they pass the planning responsibility around the room.
yeah, it's fun. It's I have no problem with it.
Yeah.
If they were like doing it after every game, like after they lost maybe,
Yeah,
but
and if like they're not doing it with the other team on the ice, they're not doing anything that would insinuate like
yeah.
screw you other team, we beat you.
I mean,
It's just players having fun and celebrating a win.
Grapes is notoriously anti-fun and anti any celebration. Like, I mean, going
Yeah.
back to Ovechkin with the hot stick.
Yeah.
He didn't like that. And
Kuznetsov,
he hates Kuzi. He hates whatever he calls Kuznetsov, Tretsov.
Zakharov, Tretsov.
Yeah, so, I mean, you can't even be bothered to pronounce a guy's name right.
Yeah.
And he's commenting on how he's disrespecting the game and disrespectful. He doesn't even fucking say the guy's name right.
Yeah, he's disrespecting the players.
So, class it up a bit here, fucking raisins. Like, let's do it. Like, show some class. Anyway, yeah. He hates Kuznetsov's bird celly, and Kuzi just keeps doing it because his daughter likes it.
Oh yeah,
It's for his daughter.
who cares? It's
And then
guy scored.
Grapes was talking about how a while ago how Columbus beat the Capitals in OT. And earlier in the game, Kuznetsov tied it up with like a minute left and did the bird celly. And then in OT, when Columbus scored, they all did the bird celly to like get back at Kuzi.
yeah,
But
which is funny.
it's funny. But
This is
Grapes was like,
players.
see, this is why you don't do the celly because it gets them all fired up. And I was like,
Oh no, my players are fired up.
oh no. Oh no, the other team saw me celly.
Yeah.
And now they're getting back at me. But he just like did it the next time he scores. So I was like, clearly he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Like it's just his celly. And like I said, he just
Like-
only does it for his daughter, and now it's just his thing. Like
yeah, and like this, the Selly doesn't do anything. It's the other team isn't involved. You're not making fun of them. You're not trying to pretend you're better than them. You're just celebrating
yeah, it's
your
not like
goal.
he's skating by their bench, giving them the fucking finger.
Yeah.
Like,
Like it's not like
fuck
pointing
you
at
guys.
them. Like he's not. None of these Sellies are doing anything that would be disrespectful to another team. It's
Well,
just
yeah, like
celebrating
how
your own
thin
goal.
of skin do you have if you like see a guy flapping his arms and be like, "Oh my god, fuck
Yeah,
that guy."
like,
You're pissed because he scored anyway, right?
Yeah.
Like, He's not doing it right by the bench.
He's not coming by your bench and giving your team high fives. He's not like pointing at you and telling you suck.
Yeah, it's. I don't understand why they hate celebrations so much. It's just fun.
It's the old school hockey view, like the
raise
most
your stick
respected
in the air and that's it.
The
That's
most
to make
respected
Backstrom
players
silly.
from old school. It's like the values are humble, hard work, quiet, respectful. So that's the generation.
Put the puck in deep. We got to get some shots.
Give our 110%.
They're a good team. They got a good defense. Just got to find a way to beat them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got to
have
playing
that
our game.
Zero personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which the league wants to.
That's Nicholas Backstrom.
Yeah.
Like he has the one celebration where he lifts his stick up with one hand and he puts his other hand up every time. Every goal. That's all he does. So that's Grapes' favorite. Just that. Yay! I scored.
Yay!
Don't even smile. That's
who cares?
Against the law. So yeah, let's move on. I wanted to shout out Jumbo Joe.
Big accomplishment.
Yeah.
That's huge honor.
He passed Gordie Howe for 9th all-time assists. So he has 1,049. That's what Gordie Howe has. So Jumbo passed him and he has 1,050. And he might have got a couple more.
Yeah, who knows? It's been a few days.
Yeah, pretty impressive. And I think the game that he tied Gordie Howe, or maybe he passed him, was against the Canucks. And interestingly enough, there's kind of a situation that developed with the Canucks. So a few weeks back, they traded Nilsson for Mike McKenna.
Yeah.
So 2 goalies. So they switched goalies from Ottawa. And then they had to put McKenna down through waivers because they had called up Demko. And Philadelphia claimed him, which is totally fine. Like they have every right to do that.
Yes.
And Vancouver kind of shot themselves in the foot by getting the goalie and then
sending him down.
And so
by not trading for a goalie that was waiver exempt.
Yeah, so it was a stupid move. And
or like not having Ottawa put him through waivers first.
Well, they just had no forethought.
Yeah.
And so now Philly has had McKenna, I think, in one game, and he's been back up a couple games, and then he hasn't played. I mean, they have the revolving door for goalies there. So they put him on like a conditioning stint in the AHL or something. So Vancouver fans are all pissed off that, they claimed this goalie for nothing.
Basically.
And they're really mad. But that's the way it goes. Like that's
waivers.
Yeah. You can't just put somebody through waivers and not expect them to get claimed. You can't be like, guys, don't sign them. Don't claim them.
Yeah, you're not gonna put feelers out and like they should have been like doing their thing, like putting feelers out or like asking
get
their
a
scouts,
goalie
like,
that's exempt or something.
Who's gonna do this? Like, is anyone gonna take him?
Yeah. So anyway, so that was all going on, and then Demko and Markstrom got hurt, so they had to have an emergency goalie. So they didn't have McKenna to call up, and I think the AHL goalie is hurt too.
Either that or they're not signed to NHL deals.
Yeah.
And they're also in Utica, so
yeah, they're way the fuck out in New York.
Yeah, why across the entire country? Like,
so they had to call up an OHL goalie, Mikey DiPietro,
who you might remember from the World Juniors tournament. He was Canada's starter.
Yeah, so good goalie. However, he's 19. He plays in the OHL.
Yeah.
Like,
you don't
not ready for an NHL game. And it was against San Jose, which is one of the best scoring teams in the West. So it went exactly how you'd expect. He got lit up. He let 3 goals in the first 5 shots. And San Jose went on to win 7-2. So Jumbo passed Gordie Howe, which is amazing. That's super impressive and unbelievable that, that's somebody. Gordie Howe is somebody that Gretzky and Bobby Orr say is number 1 all time.
Yeah.
And I think that's just because, that's hockey humble,
Yeah, exactly.
And then they don't have to dispute who's number 1 between them. They can just say Gordie's number 1.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's really impressive. And Jumbo had a quote after the game because they were talking about how DiPietro was, not ready for this, and he said something along the lines of, "I feel bad for the kid. We were just out there to get 2 points, and we have to do our job still."
Yeah. And I mean, it's a no-win situation for the kid. Like, obviously you can win the game, but it's hard to be thrust into a position like that when you have no experience, no preparation. You're not ready for it. Like, he's probably just excited to go and get an NHL game, but like,
Yeah.
You're coming straight from the OHL to the NHL to play against one of the league's best teams.
And you have Vancouver's defense in front of you.
That true. That too.
I saw one of the goals where Goodbranson did like a 360 in front of the net, just like trying to find where the puck was, and just kind of hung out to dry a bit.
Yeah,
and
it really kind of sucks for Mikey.
It would kind of leave a sour taste in your mouth for the organization too. Like, you know, the first game you get to play for them, they're kind of like, oh shit, we need you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's kind of like a similar to Dylan Ferguson in Vegas last season.
He still had like his Kamloops Blazers helmet on.
Like he came in, he only played the third. And I mean, he did okay, but like Edmonton was up a lot at that point, so they didn't really push too much. Still scored a couple times, but
yeah, I don't know. Goalies are weird. They'll get over it.
Yeah. I mean, going off of what we learned from him during the tournament and how like motivated and just self-starting he is just to get himself going, he's probably going to take this as just a huge learning experience.
Yeah.
To be like, this is what I need to do. This is where I need to be.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to be great for his development.
Yeah. Let's touch on another goalie, another former Team Canada goalie, Carter Hart. He is looking like the de facto number one goalie in Philly.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, and
he is already.
He's gonna be there for a while, unless it's another Bobrovsky story.
Yeah, and I mean this is an issue in Philadelphia for almost 2 decades, really. Because I remember back in like the early mid 2000s when they had like Roman Czechmanic.
Yeah,
and they've gone through so many goalies every single year that they just never have a good one that stays.
Yeah, I mean they've had they've had Bobrovsky, Briz, Emery,
Boucher, Leighton, Czechmanic.
Leighton. Yeah, a lot.
So, you know, hopefully this might be I mean, then going back last couple of years, like they had Elliott too.
Elliott, yeah, and they have Mason.
Yep. Was it Steve or Chris?
Steve, I think.
So,
they've had a lot of goalies.
On top of now, as soon as Talbot plays a minute for them, they'll have played 8 goalies this season.
Yeah, so let's talk about that trade a little bit. This is a 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, just a straight up 1-for-1 cap dump trade for Edmonton.
Yeah.
Talbot has had a couple of bad seasons. He needs a fresh start or something.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't blame it all on him because the team in front of him suck too, and like they don't play defense properly in front of the goalie, so there's a lot of high pressure, high quality scoring chances given up. But Talbot on his own too, probably like he absolutely leads the league in the last 2 years for goals given up on the first shot and goals given up in the first 5 minutes of a game, which partly is on the defense for not being
is that an advanced stat?
I think so.
It's pretty fancy. Stat?
Yeah, it's pretty fancy. But it's just you can never be sure that you're going to get a save out of him, and it's hard, I imagine, as players to be like, is he going to stop it if we let it through?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to start the game being down 1.
And that's basically it. Like every single game, Edmonton's down a goal in the first 5 minutes, and they're playing from behind the whole time.
I do you think that he was overplayed, like the last few seasons, going back to that playoff run? Do you think he played too many games? Because the one year he played like 70 plus?
Yeah, he did. He played 70-ish games. I want to say yes, but at the same time, like, would he have been as good as he was if he wasn't playing as much as he did? And would the team have been as good as they were if he wasn't?
Yeah, because
he was on fire that year.
Like Holtby, when he broke that Brodeur record of most wins, he played a similar number of games, and when playoffs happened, he was not playing his best hockey.
Yeah,
I know that probably didn't happen to Talbot because you guys got fucked over by that goaltender interference and shit. But
yeah, so and that's the other thing. He wasn't playing bad in the playoffs.
Yeah,
like we had a couple of bad games against Anaheim, but he played well enough. So like the offense didn't get it done in the last game.
So he's just one of those guys who needs a lot of games, you think? I don't know.
I mean, even last season, he was the starter because we didn't really have much of a backup until Montoya came in at the trade deadline or something.
Yeah, it's just...
I think he just needs... I mean, Edmonton has issues with goalies too.
Yeah,
they haven't had a good goalie in a long time. So maybe there is issues with the goalie coach in Edmonton and how they're training goalies. Maybe... I mean, the defense and the players are obviously an issue too, but...
Yeah.
You know...
They need to find the next Mitch Korn.
We really do.
So does Philly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to talk about Talbot letting up that first goal. I know that's something you wanted to talk about last time. It's just like, yeah, I think you nailed it on the head with like the team not having confidence in him.
And you could tell even he didn't have confidence in himself, because he did have a few really good games this year, and I think one of them was against St. Louis. He was having a good game. He was making stops, but he would make a save and immediately, like so many times, would look behind him like he didn't know he made it.
Surefire sign of a shaky goalie.
So, he's got a huge confidence issue and just wasn't sure of himself from the looks of it as I'm sitting here as a fan watching him on TV.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, body language is huge.
Yeah. You can tell a lot from just how players acting.
I remember watching a bunch of games where Talbot would just like immediately look at his D-man after a goal.
And to be fair, a lot of them were like, why were you in that position?
Yeah, I know. I mean, a lot of the time it was probably deserved.
Yeah.
But you still don't want to have that visible. You don't want to have your goalie like clearly blaming the D-man on the ice every single time for a goal against. I mean, yeah, like you said, chances are it probably was their fault. But
I know Talbot did have
kind of want to be like
too.
a better teammate and be like, shit, like I don't want to let another one in or whatever. But just like that mental game. You don't want to like blame your team. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be good for him to get a fresh start,
especially because he does have a previously existing relationship with Carter Hart.
Yeah, apparently they train together in the off season and
so
stuff.
that could be a good way for Talbot to kind of do some soul searching and find his game again.
Yeah.
And I mean, Philly's a better team than Edmonton, very obviously. So maybe this will help him get some confidence back to make some saves.
And he'll have Gritty out there watching his back.
Yeah.
So that'll be nice.
That's the biggest motivator, I think.
Yeah.
You don't want Gritty to show up in your nightmares threatening you.
But Laterra's not there anymore, so it's not going to be a fun time. He's not there to give Gritty his Coke and
Gritty might tone down a bit by the end of the season, I think.
Yeah, because Laterra's not there.
Might have Gritty enter what's the league's rehab system.
Oh yeah,
Can't remember what it's called.
He's gonna go to a program.
Yeah, he's gonna be off for the summer.
What'll his new name be? Intangibles or something?
Speedy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Actually, maybe not Speedy.
Yeah. So yeah, and then there's another Oilers trade.
We reacquired Sam Gagner for Ryan Spooner, so that trade tree keeps going on.
Yeah. So Gagner came home. He was playing for the Marlies. Right?
Yeah. So basically, he'd been in Vancouver, didn't make their lineup. Vancouver sent him down to the AHL, and they loaned him out to Toronto so that he could be closer to his family.
Which was nice.
Yeah. So he'd been playing well in the AHL. I think he had like 37 points in 40-some games.
It's pretty crazy how he played very well for Columbus, kind of like a niche player.
Yep. And
then he just didn't work out in Vancouver.
I mean, a lot of players didn't work out in Vancouver. It's he found
true.
a good spot in Columbus as a bit of a power play specialist, a bit of a shooter, which kind of goes against because he was always kind of a playmaker, stick handler in Edmonton, but he's got a good shot.
Yeah.
So he found his niche. He's back. He played in Edmonton last night because they were over in New York, so he just drove over basically.
How'd he look?
Not bad. I mean,
nice.
Compared to the rest of the team's wingers, he fit right in. He was probably one of the better ones.
That's good. I always liked him.
Yeah, I did too. I'm glad they got him back too because it's just a nice presence, a nice kind of you know what to expect, a veteran guy.
Yeah.
He did two notable two of them are the same thing, but he actually just ripped a few shots on net, which is something the Oilers don't have much of, where he had the puck, didn't really have anywhere to go with it, and instead of just like giving it away or making a dumb pass, he just threw it towards the net, and they both times got on net, and both times were decent scoring chance off of it.
Yeah, that's what you need.
And the other thing is that I think it was the second goal the Islanders scored. He very, very strongly overcommitted to a shot block and challenge a shooter that threw him like 10 feet behind the defense, and the puck was in the net by the time he even got back into the play. So that was a bit of an overreaction on his part, but I mean,
What can you do?
there was also an uncalled penalty on the play that would have stopped the play dead before the puck went in. So
Oh well, it all adds
yeah,
up.
won't
Yeah,
blame him too much
yeah.
for
It's
that.
hard to believe he's only 29.
I know he started like he's been in the league for forever
Yeah,
because he was like the first high-profile draft pick the Oilers got. Really,
yeah. I like him. We'll see how he does. Um, you see that thing about like Puljujarvi's agent was saying like his future might not be,
yeah,
Edmonton.
yeah. I mean the Oilers have mismanaged him big time. These are very unconfirmed rumors, but that Chiarelli kind of promised Puljujarvi he won't have to play in the AHL when he signed his contract to get him to sign.
What a bonehead.
So that's, like I said, that's totally unconfirmed. There's no, to my knowledge, no actual report saying that's a thing.
I mean, probably knowing
Yeah.
what Chiarelli was doing.
Knowing that organization, that would probably be a promise because they did the same to Drake Ajula. But yeah, I mean they've mismanaged him really bad, and it goes both ways because like he's not good enough to play where he is right now. Like he doesn't have the hockey IQ or the ability to use his size, and he just doesn't think the game or move well enough to be an NHLer.
Yeah.
But at this point, like you have to send him to the AHL now, and like Twitter would like the Oilers reporters last night were talking about him going down as early as the end of the game yesterday. To my knowledge, he's not there yet, but he needs to be down there to develop in a more welcoming system. Like the NHL's hard to learn in for a guy.
Yeah.
And I mean, he came over from Finland, didn't speak any English. The team didn't hire him a tutor for like a year and a half.
That's just Bush League.
Yeah. Like,
I
gave
hope
him
he goes
4 games
down.
in the AHL, and he got 4 points down there, and then they called him up again.
I hope he goes down to the AHL because that AHL team is on
Yes,
fire.
so nice segue onto that. The Bakersfield Condors, the Oilers AHL team, are now on a 15-game winning streak.
That's crazy.
They've vaulted into like first place in their division, and they're winning. They're just looking really good, and these are every player is just contributing.
Can
incredibly well.
you swap AHL NHL teams
I mean,
and just keep McDavid up?
Yeah, I mean, is there? I'm not aware of like a transaction limit in the NHL.
Yeah, just keep all the one-way guys up.
Let's keep like McDavid, Clefbaum, Larson, Nurse, and Draisaitl.
Yeah, everybody else go back
Nugent
down.
Hopkins, yeah.
We're switching teams.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I'm an Oilers fan, so I'm absolutely stoked that we have a farm team doing well. And
Yeah.
the thing that I'm most excited about is that this isn't like the last 10 years where the AHL team is led by like the 30-year-old tweeners that never made it in the NHL.
Yeah,
Like this team is led by prospects.
that's what you need.
Like Tyler Benson, first year in the AHL, is got like 40 points in 40 games-ish. Cooper Marody.
Oh yeah, I forgot that Benson was there.
Yeah. And I mean, we saw him play against the Royals last playoffs in the WHL.
Looked amazing.
He's fast, he's strong on the puck, and he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
So you've got Benson, you've got Marody, you've got couple
Bear?
of defensemen. Yeah, Ethan Bear and Caleb Jones they're not projecting to be like high-end defensemen, but they're looking like good role players. And 2 other defensemen, William Lagesson and Logan Day.
And your 38-year-old veteran back? He's playing in the OHL again, right?
Oh, yes. I for some reason thought you were going on to a goalie, but no, yeah. Evan Bouchard is back in the OHL, so he's not even on the team yet. And neither is Ryan McLeod, who, amazingly enough, almost made the team out of camp.
Wow.
A 2nd-round draft pick.
That's cool.
So there's a couple more guys, and also in Sweden is another defenseman. I'm going to say his name wrong because he's Swedish, but Joel Persson, who just came out of nowhere, and he's putting up numbers comparable to Dahlin.
Nice.
In the SHL.
Yeah, that's what you need, though. You need like that young AHL team. I think that's the way.
That's how you develop a
of
team.
The league now, is you need to have your younger guys in the AHL.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's what like the Capitals had when like the Hershey Bears won the Calder Cup. Is like the younger guys who eventually became Capitals. Like Jay Beagle is on that team. I can't remember anybody else, but that's most notable because Jay Beagle won like every award.
Yeah.
So he won the ECHL, he won the AHL, and the Stanley Cup. I think he's the first player to ever do that. Pretty cool.
That
I love
is.
Beagle. I miss him so much.
Well, he was just a huge role player on the team, so of course, like
I
it's
love
hard
Beagle.
to miss him,
Yeah.
hard to lose him. I mean,
Yeah. So
But-
yeah, I mean, like, it's cool to have that AHL team because I think the Oilers have definitely struggled with that. They've produced, I think
nothing.
I saw like 2 players from the AHL team to the NHL team, like in the last
nothing.
decade or so.
Huge
So,
Arcara is the only
yeah,
one.
like
There's
you can't. I honestly think that's worse than like bad trades and everything.
yeah,
Like
you can't build a team from trades and free agents. You can't put a patchwork team together and expect it to do well because you always have to overpay for trades and free agents unless you get lucky on a trade. Or like
Yeah.
you get lucky on a free agent where they overperform.
like look at like the Jets and the Oilers trajectory because like the Jets are a team that kept talent in house
Yeah.
and developed them and didn't rush them up.
and they didn't
And-
make excessive trades
They
and roster
kept
turnover.
most people on the team.
Yep.
And they made a few movements here and there, but like look at how like those players have developed and how like talented their roster is now.
Exactly.
Like the Oilers have struggled with that, and I think like if they keep on this path, at least with their AHL team, and they're like the last 2 trades have been good. Like
I mean,
they're
they're
kind of
not
like
high impact enough
they're
to
not
be
high
anything,
impact, but they're not like Chiarelli trades.
Yeah,
But they have to just try to maintain
exactly.
a team and not move out everybody when you feel like you want to.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is that you're gonna have all these guys developing in the AHL, and they're either gonna do 2 things. One is come up to the NHL together with chemistry, with skill, with a developed team mindset already that you've been playing in this system that you can transition to the NHL better. They're going to be the depth players that the Oilers need to fill up the winger spots that they don't have.
Yeah.
Or they're going to almost make it to the NHL. Maybe they won't be quite good enough, and they go back to the AHL where they become like insane veteran presences and leaders for that team to help develop the rest of the young guys as they get to the AHL.
And they can be called up as a on a
fill-in.
need basis, right?
And suddenly you have these guys, these depth players developing in the AHL, coming into the NHL, and you don't have this issue where you don't have anybody coming up.
Yeah.
Like you're getting free assets out of the draft, and for the last 15 years leading, or basically 2000 to 2015, didn't do a single thing with any of them.
Yeah, that's
They had
terrible.
like their first round draft picks. Okay, you got like high end talent, but you need the 2nd to 7th rounds to develop depth players.
Yeah. Yeah, like the Caps on Hershey, they have like Riley Barber, who's like one of the AHL like scoring leaders all the time, but like when he comes up to the NHL, he's just not quite
There.
good enough. And also he can't play in the right line. Like he can't slot into the same position.
Yeah,
right?
because you can't get a first line AHL
yeah,
to
like
play
you're
well on
not
the 4th line.
taking like, that first line spot. Sorry, but you're
Yeah,
not.
you can't.
And I have like guys like Liam O'Brien, who's like tough player in the AHL. He comes up in the NHL and he might fight a guy, and then he goes back down. It's just like those. You need those guys because when someone gets hurt, you just need to be able to call them up, and you don't need to have a whole team of those guys.
Yeah,
But
you need enough to be able to reasonably cover
yeah,
player turnover and to have a constant stream of developing defensemen or players in general really coming up to fill up roster holes in the NHL.
Yeah, and it helps to make playoffs, and then when you're in playoffs, those guys can come up and
Yeah, you've got your
be impact
Black
players
Aces, I think they're called.
yeah. I mean, look at Pittsburgh, right? Like
Pittsburgh is a
they
prime
won
example.
2 cups with those players.
They have these guys developing in their system that they can literally just pick and slot them in wherever they want because they have such a good system from top to bottom
Yeah.
that these guys just fit right in.
Yeah, you
and
can't
they
just
fill a
have
role.
you can't just have the NHL team. You need to have both like
Yeah.
working in tandem, and that's management's job is to make it work.
Yeah, and they never had any of that. Like they
Yeah.
didn't even have an AHL team for years in the early part of the 2000s.
Yeah. Well, just over an hour here. I guess we'll wrap it up.
Every episode just keeps getting like 5-10 minutes longer.
Yeah, we're creeping up there.
We're
Trying
gonna
to
be
keep
on
it under
day-long
an hour.
episodes within a month or two here, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, we skipped a week. We missed
True.
a week, so we had
True,
a few
so
more
we can make
things
up for
to
it.
discuss.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that was a good episode.
I think
Kinda
so.
Talked
We
about
covered-
a bunch of stuff.
We're going to have an exciting one next week because that's going to be right before the trade deadline. So we're either going to have a lot of trades or a lot of rumors to talk about.
Yeah, that'll be. I'm
So-
looking forward to that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll catch you guys next time.